We're back again on Lutherans Alive with Pastor Blair Morgan, our new Director for Evangelical Outreach here in the Southwestern Pennsylvania Synod. Blair, again, thanks for taking the time to come in, and especially today for helping to address the very important subject of stewardship. Before the break, we were talking about Paul's letter to the Corinthians, and you were sharing with us some of the interesting and very useful spiritual points that Paul makes in that passage.
It is. I mean, it is a key place. There certainly are other places as well, but just that resource, sometimes it can be useful for people to know that the Bible talks about money, talks about having a connection to accomplish mission together. Other examples in the book of Acts of where Paul generated funds because there was a famine going on in the Jerusalem area, and so he was pulling monies together to make a difference in that way. There are examples just throughout the scriptures of ways that that discussion is there even in the Gospels, and Jesus using the example of the widow's mite and how as they are standing near the treasure box of the temple, there are those that are coming in and putting in big time bucks in one way or another, and in their day what that would be, and then there is that example of that woman who is putting in all that she has, and it's just that one coin, and Jesus lifts up that perspective of the reality of faith and faithfulness that's a part of that, that says certainly the church should not spend all its time talking about money, but to the other extreme, the church can't afford to not challenge us around our priorities financially, because in a lot of ways it represents all our other priorities, how we use our wealth.
I think that's one of the most powerful messages, both in Paul's letter to the Corinthians and in the widow's mite. It's that springs from a sense of faithfulness and of joy and of thanksgiving to God for all that we have and all that we are, and that's really what propels that sense of positive stewardship that inspires the disciple. You mentioned too the famine in Jerusalem and the need for resources to be shared from one part of the church to another, from one community of faith to the other. And of course, in our local circumstances as well, we rely on and hopefully take advantage of resources that are made available either by the Synod to the local congregation through someone like you, or even through the ELCA stewardship and other resources that are made available. I know you brought some things along today, or at least a booklet along that intimates what some of those resources are this year.
I did. In fact, as we think about why we put this booklet together, and it was work with Pastor Ann Schmid, who is the head of our stewardship committee in the Synod. Together, we were looking at resources that were available through the ELCA, and there are some wonderful resources that one can find on elca.org and search stewardship at that point. But as we looked at as I just came on board in the middle of the summer, we found that it would probably be helpful for our congregations to have a resource available to take them through a fall stewardship campaign in a way that we weren't quite able to find any resource that was going to do that the way we thought it would be helpful. So what we did is together we kind of combined our gifts. We put together this Stay With, Raise Up, Send Out booklet. And the idea was that we would try to use the Synod priorities that we have set up, that whole area of Stay With, Raise Up, Send Out, and build a fall stewardship campaign and have within one booklet a Bible study resource that people could use in Sunday school, that people could use in circles, in men's groups, however it might be possible, to take a look over a 3-week period of time, some basics around stewardship, especially from the whole perspective of Stay With, Raise Up, Send Out, and then also to have a whole planning kit in that booklet of ways that that resource might help people who may not have ever quite done this before to have sort of a planning guide. What do we need to do first? What would be some ideas for worship? What would be some ideas for children's sermons? What would be some ideas around sample letters we might send out to introduce a fall stewardship campaign? What would be some banner ideas for symbols in one way to tie it all together? Would there be some opportunity to have bulletin insert examples that could be used to tell the story of the work that we have together with the Synod, of the work that we do together with the ELCA? All of that is put together in that one booklet, and they've been sent out either through giving to pastors in the midst of meetings or mail, so that every congregation has access to that for this fall.
Mm-hmm. And it sounds like with the selection of resources that are offered, that it can be customized to any size congregation or to any specific situation. Whatever seems to be the appropriate application, there's the flexibility to do that.
It can be, yes. And also what we have done is we have put on the Synod website the entire booklet is available for copying whatever might be useful straight the way it is there. But there's also Word document files for some of those sample letters and other things where you'll want to maybe put your own church's name or personalize them in some way or whatever, and you can bring them down and then work with them from a Word document format.
So at whatever level your congregation is functioning with those communications tools, there's a way to reference those.
Right, and I want to get back a little bit to the ELCA website also, because one of the things I did find the other day, I wanted to see how easy it is to get to the stewardship site. And two ways you can do it. One is, interesting enough, I Googled stewardship. And the first two, one was the Wikipedia definition, one was the Oxford Dictionary definition. But the third finding was the United Methodist Church's stewardship site. The fourth one was our own ELCA, and however that worked in my magical use of Google. And it took me right to the context where there are resources available, some of which on that first site, but then there's a whole choice of other ways you can look at that have additional things. And I counted like 25 to 30 resources that the ELCA has in different ways to help congregations. The thing I think about with that is, sometimes you're responsible for stewardship. You need to be doing this. You're home one night, you get in or whatever, and how am I going to do this? And it could be that you have a computer at your home and can get on the internet. And in the comfort of your own home, maybe you're in your pajamas or whatever, you can get on there and research and learn some things that could be resources for the life of your congregation, either through our Synod website and some of these things, or through the ELCA's website.
And I would guess that in your position, that if someone got to that point and started to wade through some of the options and had questions, that you would be willing to consult with them about how to understand exactly what that is.
Absolutely. And it's amazing the things that are there, because there are resources that can help a congregation through their whole year as far as dealing with stewardship education. And in fact, that's kind of what Pastor Schmidt and I came to discover was there's a new resource called Make It Simple that has a lot of wonderful resources that we think would be really useful over the whole year in trying to strengthen and develop congregational understanding of stewardship. We just felt like this would be more useful for us in this fall focus.
Sounds good. I hope people will take advantage of it.
Me too.
We are at the point where we need to take another short break. We'll be back in just a minute.